An American Idol star, once vying for votes, is now fighting to get her children back. First, it was her son in March. Then months later, their newborn daughter, who was only a few days old.
You're taking my baby away from me!
I'm Justin Carter, and this is TSR Investigates. In 2008, Syesha Mercado, she captured the ears and the hearts of the nation as a contestant on season 8 of American Idol. Now, Mercado is facing an uphill battle to regain custody of her children, Amin-Ra and Aset. It started in February of 2021 when Mercado noticed that her son, Amin-Ra, was having a hard time transitioning to solid foods and his energy seemed a little off.
I became pregnant while I was breastfeeding him, and my milk supply went down.
She did what millions of parents do when their children are sick. She took them to the hospital. This is where the nightmare began, though. She took Amin-Ra to Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital in St. Petersburg, Florida, where he was eventually admitted. But after 2 weeks in the hospital, Mercado was met by sheriff's deputies and child protective services.
They basically came up with a lie that we refused this B12 shot that they deemed was medically necessary, but yet it's been 4 or 5 months now, we still don't have our child.
Mercado says she never refused the shot, but as somebody who leads a holistic lifestyle, she and her partner, Tyron Deener, wanted more time to weigh their options.
I don't think they were used to someone that looks like me asking questions. They saw it as me being resistant instead of me just being a caring parent.
Authorities took Amin-Ra away and asked her to leave, and if she didn't, she would be trespassing and consequently arrested.
It was basically like I was a prisoner in the hospital.
Her son was immediately placed into foster care. Then months later in August, she gave birth to a seemingly healthy baby girl, Aset. But days later, CPS workers and sheriff's deputies pulled them over with a judge's court order in hand. They claim that neither parent alerted CPS when the new baby was born.
Here's the thing, like, you wouldn't even tell the case management that the baby was even born.
I said contact our attorney. That's all I said.
You wouldn't let
I have the
management talk to her.
Nothing. No,
she wasn't
yes,
there.
no.
But what I'm saying is that I have the right. That's why we have legal representation. If there's any questions you have, contact our attorney. They didn't even contact him. That's showing that they're negligent to not even want to get proper information.
Okay.
They say this woman, Dr. Sally Smith, is the woman behind it all. Dr. Smith, a child abuse pediatrician who works with All Children's Hospital and the Manatee County Sheriff's Department on these cases, wrote a 9-page report back in March claiming that Mercado's son, Amin-Ra, was only about 6.3 kilograms, which equates to about 14 pounds, which is about 6 pounds underweight, also severely dehydrated and suffering from hypotonia or muscle weakness. Additionally, the report claimed that Mercado failed to seek medical attention for Amin-Ra sooner. However, in court documents, Mercado's attorneys say they did get Amin-Ra checked out at a nearby community hospital 3 weeks prior, and doctors told her to continue attempting breastfeeding while also incorporating solid foods. Just last year, USA Today, they in fact documented several families who were broken apart under Dr. Smith's watch, one of them being the family of Elena and Vadim Kushner. According to reports, Dr. Smith took their 6-week-old son, William, away, accusing the parents of possibly shaking him to the point that it caused brain bleeding. Smith also claimed that there was a bruise on his arm, possibly from a blunt object. This did spark a legal battle, but a judge did side with the Kushners after that judge said that Dr. Smith and prosecutors failed to examine the child thoroughly. Baby William's injuries were in fact tied to complications at birth. So how can something like this happen? Florida social worker Dr. Brittany Peters says that in Florida, there are levels within the child welfare system in Florida, and every case is handled differently.
Cases of maltreatment, suspected maltreatment, injuries to the child, then they do, by statute, are required to refer over to what's called a child protection team, which they do full assessments on the child's body.
She says a mandated reporter, or the hospital in this case, will then call the child abuse hotline to decide to pursue the case, with the county then taking it from there. And that's what Mercado and Deener have a problem with.
So they're manipulating their procedures to get more kids into the foster system for financial gain.
But Dr. Peters adds that the foster system is not cheap.
Actually a very expensive process. And, you know, one of the things is that many states, when they do receive certain types of funding, the goal is also that they will work towards reunifying parents, which is why, again, there's so many levels to the process.
Now, as far as we know, both parents are allowed to have weekly supervised visits with their children, but the fight, of course, it continues. The couple has raised over $400,000 on GoFundMe. They've also launched a social media campaign to bring awareness to her case and to also uncover what's happening to families at All Children's Hospital. Their next court date is in November. We finally got a response from the Manatee County Sheriff's Department. They tell us that they did get that hotline call from the hospital back in March of 2021 about Amin-Ra possibly suffering from malnutrition and failure to thrive. They say that the parents did not cooperate in that case, and in turn, it led them to take away their daughter, Aset, in August. Aset has been returned to the family. They're still fighting for custody of Amin-Ra. I'm Justin Carter for TSR Investigates.